Bonjour, Mishko Poganon Quain Addition Mangdodam. Hello, everybody. My name is Sandy Boucher. I'm Red Thunderbolt Woman of the Loon Clan, a proud member of Seine River First Nation in Treaty 3 territory in Northern Ontario, and I'm here with the latest episode of the Path podcast. And if you have been following my work in any way, my writings, my YouTube channel, this podcast, on Facebook, whatever the case may be, you would know that when I refer to the path, we're talking about the path to reconciliation. And if you happen to get your hands on my third book, The Path, you would know why we haven't reconciled yet. The reality is there's a lot of work left to do, but every single day I get to work with amazing people on both sides of the feather. Indigenous people working so hard to heal and unpack their trauma, to rid themselves of that generational trauma. And trust me, as someone who has had to unpack the things that I subconsciously inherited, it's an ongoing journey, and just sending out kudos to anyone that's embarking on that journey. I am so incredibly proud of you. And I also get to work with amazing non-Indigenous people, and I've said it 100 times and I'll keep saying it. When I get to work with a group of non-Indigenous people interested in learning and changing, interested in being part of reconciliation, they are my fuel. Largely because there was a time in my own life, and definitely my mom in her life, we didn't believe those people existed. Because of our experience with Canadian legislation and Canadian politics, I honestly didn't believe there was any such thing as a non-Indigenous person who cared two beans about what happened to Indigenous people. And I've never been happier to be wrong, because I get to engage with those people, I would say daily, whether it's on social media or at live events, virtual events. I'm going to be doing a virtual event in less than a half hour with that type of person. So if anyone wonders why I love my career so much, this would be why. I'm going on 14 years now. And this work is not easy. It requires a lot of healing. Your self-care game has to be epic. There is a reason why there are not a lot of Indigenous people doing this work. It's because of the emotional price tag we pay, not because we're not interested in building bridges. But I find my work, after so long and seeing so many people interested, I just find it really easy to stay enthusiastic, even though there are still days I got to do some self-care because of that random comment that just devastates. But that is not what I'm talking about today. I'm all about the tongue-in-cheek. Anyone who knows me, if it's not fun, I don't want to do it. It's just kind of strange that I'm doing reconciliation work. I wouldn't describe it as fun, but working with the people I work with is definitely fun. And what I wanted to do today is like an ally checks and balance. I am not going to sit in judgment of you. As an Indigenous person, I know how devastating it can be to have people sit in judgment of you. Canada, are you listening to me? So I'm definitely not going to do that. This is something the allies can ask themselves. An ally checklist. Like, just touch base with yourself. What would you do? Because honestly, when it comes to confronting racism, which is what I'm focusing on today, let me be the first to say, if not the first, one of many that will tell you that it's easier if you're prepared. It's never going to be easy. Even if the racism is not directed at you, it's not comfortable. But I can tell you from personal experience, it becomes automatic. I am just at an age and stage in my life now that I hear something, there is no way I am not commenting, because you're now impeding on my safe space. And that's not going to happen. I've worked way too hard to live and exist in a safe space to let someone just take it away. And my allies have helped me create that safe space and they create safe spaces that I've never even been, I was no part of creating, but I get to walk in there and enjoy them. So allies are huge. Kudos to our allies. But we need real allies. We need allies not in name. We need allies in action. And that's what this checklist is all about. This is, you ever play that game, Would You Rather? Well, I'm not going to give you two choices here because this one is, how would you respond? So, for example, the first one, there's little checks and balances for my allies out there. Imagine, this is scenario one. Imagine you're invited to a new network or committee and you notice that everybody there is white and privileged with no BIPOC representation, no Black, no Indigenous, no people of color. How would you respond? Now, of course, what I want to hear and what I hope you just said to yourself is that you're going to go up to the person that invited you to join this network, or if you know the organizers, even better, and you're going to say, I can't help noticing you don't have any Black, Indigenous, people of color here. Like, why? Why? And they're probably going to tell you something about, well, we put out marketing and says everyone's welcome, but they never show up. You can give them a little history lesson on why posters that say everyone welcome has never applied to us. So why, and that's why we don't assume it does now. But anyways, would you say something? An ally would. That is the only one I'm going to give you the answer to. But I am going to give you a couple more scenarios for you to consider as an ally. Remember, we need allies in action. So now, second scenario. You overhear a racist slur in the grocery store lineup. Someone standing ahead of you, a couple people, or behind you, whatever, says something. And it's one of those scenarios where they say it loud enough for everyone to hear. You know that was their intent. What are you going to say? How are you going to respond? If, God forbid, if you wouldn't say anything out of fear of repercussions, out of fear of they're going to get angry with you, out of fear of you don't want to raise the boat, that may very well be your answer. But know that if that's your answer, you are not an ally. Period. You don't get to be an ally online if you're not an ally in real life. You don't get to like and share social media posts if you don't do anything when it's actually needed. Because here's why it's so important. And I said I wasn't going to give any more answers. Well, I guess I didn't tell you what to do. That's up to you. But here's the issue. I am a fair Indigenous person. I could easily identify as a white presenting Indigenous person. There is a really good chance there is either an Indigenous person or maybe even a white presenting Indigenous person, a Métis person, whatever the case may be, within earshot of whatever that dude just said, woman, man, whoever, that racist comment. And if no one calls it out, then that grocery store has just been labeled an unsafe space. And by the way, if you work at the grocery store, if you're the cashier overhearing this, your employer is going to pay the price for this, because that person's going to leave. If an Indigenous person overhears it, they're going to leave and tell all their friends, you don't want to go there because there's racists, they shop there and the owners don't even care. So there's a chance you could hurt someone if an Indigenous person overhears. And if they do hear, it's costing that business money. So if you don't care about the store, I guess, why are you shopping there? Whatever. Silence is acceptance. We gotta stop accepting this. A couple more, then I'll race off quickly. We're already at the 10-minute mark here. Same kind of deal, but this time you're in a small restaurant and a patron at another table shares the racist slur loud enough for everyone to hear. Fourth scenario, you're invited to a friend's house for a backyard barbecue, and while you're there, someone starts telling the ever popular racist joke. How will you respond? One more, your elderly neighbor says he just can't stand Indians. What are you going to do? Silence is acceptance. And if you stay silent, in that second, you officially become part of the problem. And I'm really, really hoping that you're not going to become part of the problem that I work every day to fight against. Until next week, something to think about. I love you. Take it. Oh, by the way, if you really like this stuff, it is part of my Calling Out Racism Lunch and Learn session that I'm going to be doing again in August. Check it out on my website, sandyboucher.com. Either way, until next week, I love you. Take care of you. Bye-bye.